Hi, this is KB, and this is the moon phase report for, I guess we could say the new moon in Sagittarius. I'm a couple of days off with this because I you know what, I was trying to think of an excuse as to why, and what's really cool is that I did this liver cleanse, and which I think that everyone in the world needs to do one. And now that I've done one and understand more about it, I'm like, this could heal the world because the liver is anger and frustration and past lineage things, and all these things that are locked into these old patterns that aren't open to evolving and shifting and gaining a new perspective. And they do so much in our body that, like, they are messed up from pollution in the air, from chemicals, from the things we put on our skin and our laundry, and pharmaceutical drugs, and too much alcohol usage, and not eating right, fast food restaurant crap, and processed food crap. So many of the things that are a part of the normal day-to-day life are really messing with our livers. And so if we're not taking care of them, we have all these problems in our life, and you can't get over anger, and you're stuck in these patterns of frustration, and I'm so pissed off and da da da, and triggered by everything, because isn't that kind of the problem, that people are so triggered by everything, and they're so quick to show their ass and lash out at everybody, and just fight, 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 war. A congested liver is like war. you know so anyway, I did this liver cleanse, and I really found that it really pulled me way inward, and way in such a peaceful space that I haven't really even been in tune too much with what was going on with the energies in the world. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, is cleaning my liver gonna, like, lose my ability to pick up on this stuff? But I don't think that's the truth. But it was what I was wondering for a while. I was like, oh no, I need that congestion, huh? So yeah, it was really profound, and I want to talk about it more. I'm even going to start doing them kind of like every other week, just for a while. I mean, this was the first one I've ever done, so I imagine I probably need, way, way more of them to really kind of, like, you know, correct these things that have been so damaged from, like, birth control pills. And I definitely was, like I said, a really big drinker until about 24, 25. And never did any other kind of harder drugs, though, but except for acid. I'd always really loved acid. I wonder if that messed with my liver. I know that I've heard studies that say, like, people who've done acid actually are more spiritually advanced than people who have not, which I get that, because it does totally open your mind. Um, but so anyway, so I did this liver cleanse, and it was so wonderful. Like, I feel amazing. And one of the things that I noticed instantly was this this way to handle provocation in a different way. Or there's just something that keeps you more on this even kind of vibration of whatever, instead of being like, because when you think about it, frustration it's this thing that starts from inside, and it almost like boils outward, like, and again, and now this, and now this, and it's a pattern that you can get into, and then it's so hard to get out of. You're like, gosh, how do I go peaceful? How do I go it's all good, when I'm so, like, pent up, and I have these buttons that are pushed, and they just, I mean, think about how quickly we get angry in the car because just normal thing happens, like somebody is just going 3 miles slower than an hour than what you want to be driving, ah, or gosh, I have to do this. And so we have so many pressures of timelines, work deadlines, all these things that can just have us just snapping so easily. But what I found from doing this liver gallbladder cleanse and 10 days of it is that I really got that, like, that liver is locked into this frustration pattern. And until you clear it and clean it and get it on a healthier way of expression, you're just locked into these patterns that are so hard to break, because they're so innate and they're locked in our body. And it's like, it's such a deep, deeply located thing within our body that it's, hard to shift a pattern like that. When it's just like, boom, something happens and we're like, boom, we react. So, um, I feel great, and I'm going to talk more about it. I'm actually going to write up some article about it and kind of tell you what I did and the herbs and all this stuff so that you can do it at home. But yeah, I would definitely say look into that, and a longer term one. I know there's the ones where you drink like a couple cups of olive oil before bed, and and citrus, I think, to grab the gallstones or whatever, bile, and I don't know, whatever. But I definitely think like everything slower is always a lot better. I'm a really big advocate on that. Just to have it be this kind of slow, long-term process. So I'm going to talk more about that. So that was really awesome. And one thing I wanted to go right into is I'm doing private videos now on the Love Collective. So every other week when you're seeing these public ones, I'm doing private ones over on the Love Collective. But we were talking last time, I was telling everyone about, last week at least, nobody was really on the same kind of vibration with this expression of what was happening to us. Everything was really different. Like some people were in this, oh my gosh, life is so wonderful. Some people were so in that, and then other people were in this thing of being pushed to the limit and being like, I can't take one more thing, yet one more thing keeps coming. So it was like having to deal with this series of one thing after the other. And each one of them was just like almost making you lose your cool and lose your mind and think you were going to like go nuts and totally give up. Like, I can't do this. This is too much. Like really feeling like you were reaching a point of this is too much. I can't deal with this. I can't process this. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. So what I had discovered is that, in this journey right now, the most work we can do all year is happening right now, and maybe even like collectively many years time in our past. It's all building up to this really big moment right now. And what is happening is all these things are having to fall away from our programmed way of being in order to get us more purified and activated and aligned to be these new expressive beings of 2014. And it's so important, and that's why there's been such a crunch right now. We're down to the last hours, so these next couple weeks, there's a lot of work we're doing in our bodies, and everybody is on this different timeline, and everybody also is dealing with things that are particular to what you need to let go of and transform. So every one of you who, you'll all go through this one thing after another thing. You'll all go through this. And, some people are having them lighter, though, because they've just been bit by bit been doing the work. And, excuse me, their core lessons aren't particularly the ones that are bringing about this push to the limit kind of thing. And push to the limit is really kind of bringing our anger out there. Push to the limit is what moves us to be pissed off, frustrated, angry, fuck this shit. So we're all having to go through this, but they are all particular to us individually. So we really do need to keep it real, and look within and really kind of see what you need to shift and alter in order to rectify whatever kind of buildup of a situation that you're in. And the majority, I would definitely say, have it where it's all about your thoughts. So it's all about how you're interpreting what has just happened to you, how you're interpreting what these series of events that keep coming into your life, how you're seeing them and putting them out into the world, where they will either continue to manifest through what we're saying, or it'll be done with and shifted and it'll go on to a new vibration. So with that, that's where it comes into play, where if you're continually saying, well, this always happens to me, and I have struggled so much in my life, and well, of course that happened, of course I had to deal with that. So really listening for that tone and that uh the frustration of it, and um the anger that is on those words of like, I am so sick of this. And realizing that the way you're saying it and the way you're expressing it is basically you're up there voting on how you want it to continue in your future. And when you say it like that, when you say, well, of course this is happening to me again, of course I got fired from yet another job, and that kind of thing, or whatever. Oops, ooh, lava land, earthquake. Um, so, really kind of looking at what you're saying, you know, I was talking about in the private video how I'm always like, oh my gosh, I can't catch up. I can't catch up. I can never catch up. I'm always behind. And I just kind of shifted that. And I finally really kind of realized, oh my gosh, I'm saying all these things that are really keeping me locked in that pattern and keeping it to um, helping it to manifest continually into my life, because I'm saying, and I'm feeling the frustration of this, and now it's just continuing. And that's what, if you look at the things that were happening to you that are driving you crazy, every one of those you are labeling in this kind of negative way, and you aren't allowing it to manifest in a different way by being like, whatever, I'll get through this. I will figure this out, like you're not laughing at it, or you're not just like seeing like that it is happening for a reason, or there is some reason for it. You're not putting trust in it that there is some bigger thing about this. And instead, you're cutting it off and making it negative and bringing just more of that into your life. So, this is an individual journey for each one of us, where we really do. You'll notice, like in your alone time, in your meditation time, in your driving meditation time, the thoughts are just going to come to you of what you are saying that is manifesting these more negative things into your life. And the solutions will just start coming to you, naturally and organically. And you'll just get that, like, oh, when I say it like that about how, of course, this always happens to me. I mean, listen to that. None of it was like love and light and hope and good things are on the way for me. None of it at all was that. So it's really just learning to word them in a different way so that the possibility of a good magical thing can show up. Um, and I want to go right into that now too. I wanted to bring up, I talked about this on the last private video, but I said I wanted to talk about it publicly. But on the last video I did, I got my very first comment that really kind of hurt my feelings, and kind of hit me to the core. It was like a punch to the gut. I heard other people say the same thing about it when they read it. But, you know, uh, there's so much I can say about it. I was very thankful for it, though. Basically, on the last video I did, this woman had said the first line was just put it out there about how disempowering my self-talk is. And at first I was a little bit like, this is just how I talk for the people, and I want to keep it real. I want to say the things that you guys are saying. I want to bring up these things that will ring true in you, where you're like, oh, that's what I do. And since we are all on the healing journey, I'm not sitting up here like a almighty spiritual master, and I kind of think it's kind of cool that I'm open to sharing things that don't always put me in the light of perfect. I actually love that kind of stuff. I've always been that way. I love to talk about things that most people would never bring up, and they want to hide and deny. And I'm like the first to be like, you want to hear the embarrassing thing I just did? Or you want to hear the you want to hear like the antithesis of where I am now and where I used to be and what I used to say, what I used to do? Like for me, I like to put out things that resonate with people so that they can relate to them. Because if they can relate to them, they're going to hear the message. Yet, if it's just from this high and mighty, you know, I almost said something. I'm not going to say that. But if it is from this high and mighty, I'm so perfect, I mean, it can kind of make the other people feel like they aren't perfect, and they're like, well, how do I get to be so perfect? I'm so imperfect. So I kind of like to be imperfect so that I can just show you that we are all the same. And so that was my first feeling from it, was like, I was like, no, but this is what I do, and this is why people relate to me. But then, fortunately, this is something where, the message for all of us is anytime we're in a fight, it's a blessing. Anytime somebody is provoking you, pushing your buttons, it's a blessing, because it's something that you need to look at inside. And we need to be more like stoked about that, and to be like, oh, cool. Now I have to go within and see where this comes from, or see what I need to change, and see what I need to learn about it. And what I found was, uh, the following after that happened, I mean, it did hurt my feelings. It mostly hurt my feelings because it was the very first video that I ever put out where I called it inspirational. And then this person's just like, bam, you were so disempowering. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. But I got over that quickly. But anyway, what I decided, I was like, I need to look at that, because I do have a Virgo moon, and Virgo is the number one sign for being very critical and judgmental. And they tend to get so locked in it and it's such a strong sign. Virgo and Scorpio are up there as like the strong signs. I mean, I guess you could put Aries there too, but these are the ones that are really like, they don't see where they're doing something wrong. They aren't, it's harder for them to see that, because they're so strong and almost like in a righteous kind of way. And so anytime anyone's going to throw something like that at me, I'm always going to look, because I'm like, I do have a Virgo moon, so I need to be open to where I am shortchanging myself with my words. And anyway, what I found out, so I was like, okay, so, and that's one thing I always tell you too. The first thing is just put it out there that you're interested in understanding this more. And if you can just do that, the magic starts happening to kind of reveal this to you. If you close it off and say, whatever, you're the one with the problem, then you shut yourself off from the learning experience of it that can actually happen organically. But if you can just be open to it and be like, I'd like to know more about that, I would like to know if there is truth in this. And so anyway, what happened was, it was just like a couple of days. It was within days. What had happened was, I noticed it was something that was more like in my head, the things that I would say, like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like those things I was saying earlier were kind of the things I would say in my mind of course, now I have to deal with this. Of course, da da da. And it wasn't things that I really like bring out into the vocal world, but they were in my head. And what happened is, because I wanted to learn more about this, and how I needed to learn from this provocation, I just, every time I would have a thought like that, it would like come like wrapped in like neon lights and like a feeling. So like it was like a tingly kind of feeling. Every time I would say it, it would be like, oh, or in my mind, I'd be like, oh my gosh, look at how defeating that was. And look at how that's just manifesting more stress in my life, and more busy in my life, and more. So I was just like, I don't know. It was such a quick process, because it was just like, then it was like, I kept seeing it, and now it's like completely transformed. I mean, now I haven't been doing that at all. And now I'm like, whatever, in a month, this won't matter. In a year, this won't matter. I don't need to get so worked up over things. So everything, thank goodness. And that's what I was saying in the private video. This person was actually like an angel for me, because it woke me to, what are you saying in your head? How are you interpreting your situations? Of that kind of thing, when you're having lots of heavy load and lots of things to deal with. And um, so I just started to switch him of like, that's cool, I can handle it. What do I need to take care of next? And what was really cool too is, right after that happened, then I moved into like this incredible computer chaos thing with my main computer that holds all my astrology writings, like 700 pages of all my birth chart book interpretations, and all these other things I'm working on my new class that starts on the 21st, which is going to be a transit class, and it's with the moon journey. We're going to follow the moon. It's going to be so cool. That it even comes with a book and stuff. So I created all these things on there, and so my computer died. It just popped and burst into smoke and turned itself off. So anyway, uh, uh, right after I'd gotten that really big message about keeping my thoughts in this kind of higher way, no matter what was coming to me, and the inside thoughts, because it's not like I'm sitting here saying, nasty things to people while smiling. I don't have those kind of thoughts in me. I just have the more frustrated ones of, but I won't necessarily bring it out to verbal words, but they're in my head. And I didn't really realize that until this person brought that up to me. So, anyway, then I went through, like, I don't even know if it was like a week and a half, but it was the most crazy situations, with nothing working, everything getting messed up, a brand new computer even having a messed up C drive, and then all these things, all these things, all these things. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh. But I just really was like, because I had just gotten that big message about my words and with manifesting what I want, I just kind of shifted it to this higher way. And even though the obstacles did still continue, I mean, they were just one after the other. After, even like my first video on here, on the private video, it didn't record the sound, it was like, it was just so many things, like an hour-long video and no sound. So, it was, but each one I was just like, okay, it was just like, like you're working in a grocery store, and you just finish up a big line of all these people, and then another one just comes, and somebody else with all these carts, all these carts, all these carts loaded. Are you going to be like, are you just going to be like, okay, next, now I deal with the next one, okay, next, now I deal with the next one. So it really did shift me into this better space, so that I was able to handle the push that we're all going to go through in a much better way, so that I did really stay cool with it. I was like, whatever, da da da, and so it was no big deal. So I ended up being really thankful for that, because it opened me to something. So my message is always telling you that there's lots of provocation out there right now, because that is the only way that we can learn what we need to heal in our lives. If nobody ever challenges you, then you're either completely aligned on this higher kind of way, inside and out, to the core, every cell of your being, or you have things that you still need to see about yourself, that you have picked up as these patterns, conditioning, whatever, and they've continued to play out, and now they're rampant, and it's time to kind of bring them back into a healthier balance, so that your life is manifesting and expressing in the way that you really want. So we have to be really open and honest when these things do happen. There is also the other side, though, where we do have to take our own actions into consideration, because even, this person who sent me that comment has something to learn too, because one, it was done as public humiliation. It was a public thing, of blasting somebody and bringing them down. So even though the message was that I was being disempowering, the message was disempowering. Most people would have fought that and lashed right back, because there's ways that we can say things that really move people to want to change. And then there's ways that we say things that just make them defensive, and like put the spotlight back on you, of like, but look at how you said that to me. That was not, So fortunately, it happened to me where I could look at it honestly and be like, I have something to learn from this. But we do always have to realize it's a mutual thing, because if somebody did not have that same thing within them, they wouldn't be triggered by it in another. So when we have a problem with anybody else, it's always something about us too. So it is this learning scope that we go through, is like the figure eight. It's all of us together. We're all in this. But if you're being provoked, it has something to do with you. And that's the key. And whether you're like the one who's just being provoked, and the words are coming to you and you're provoked, it does have something to do with you. That's why I had to look closely and be like, what was the truth in this message? But it goes the other way too, where if you're being provoked to the point where you do have to put something out there, there's something about it that relates to you, and there's some learning that you need to, go through too with that. So for all of you, there's still lots of like this fight, this frustration. It will usually be intertwined with that push that's going on, because so you're already feeling pushed to the limits and can't deal with anything more, so it's going to open you to lashing out at others, or to being frustrated, or to just come on. And understand that it's happening for a good reason, though. So don't like instantly put yourself down because you just lashed at your friends or whatever. Um, this is part of our mutual collective healing work process. And we're pushing each other for very good reasons. We're being pushed for very good reasons. And it's all really leading up to this kind of cleansing purification that we need to do right now, so that we can move into 2014 and really kind of bring this change, really kind of bring it. And that makes me think of, I came up with the new phrase that's going to be the big one out there. And maybe it already is. Maybe I just picked up on somebody else bringing it. But with me, one of the things with me is I am someone who I get really, what's the word? Get, I, when things become too popular, or mainstream, or hip, or trendy, I can't stand them anymore. I have a really big, and I would say it's probably because of my Venus in the first house in Aquarius that is trining my Uranus in the ninth house in Libra. But I would always kind of say that that is a big reason why I do have that. I don't like to be um, doing what everybody else is doing. It's just this thing in me. It has to be unique. It has to be different. So even as an example, I've worn a nose ring and a hoop in my nose for 20 years, and just had it be like such a big part of who I am. This is like, before anybody even had them was when I got it. And then I just saw how they just got so popular, so popular, so popular. But it still didn't bother me, at that point, which was kind of weird. But it was a couple months ago, I was at the grocery store and I passed these two teenagers, and they weren't even together. They were just separate, but they were both kind of like cheerleaders in a way, kind of like that kind of thing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it just sounded bad there, but this is just how I interpreted it. But anyway, I went home that day and took it out and have not put it in again. So it's like, it was just like, okay, it's done. 20 years, that was enough. I can't do it anymore. But it was just seeing like, if it gets too much out there, I just do that. It has to be unique with me. It has to be different. I can't, even I probably have said this on here. I used to be very unique and different, like visually, physically, very unique and different. I was very much about that. And then it became so trendy in the past decade, whereas it was very unique when I was growing up. So it was cool to be like that. But then it became like the hip, trendy thing, and then I started to just start looking plain and boring. I was like, the only way to be different now is to like have no interest in looking good and cool. So now I'm just like plain, and I've never been this plain in my whole life. Just boring, just average. I'm like average now. I think it's cool to be average now. So that's funny. But so what was my point? I'm not on my point right now. What was I talking about? I went too far into other stories. Let me think here for a minute. So it was about, why did I bring up getting rid of the nose ring, letting things go that are patterns? This is where normally, if there's any Taurus out there right now, they remember what I was talking about. I'll need to do these on Spreecast maybe, and someone can be like, you were saying about da 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 da. And so I might have to skip over it. I'm not getting it. This is that liver cleanse. It got me too clear. so that nothing really phases me now. So I can't even remember what track I was on because it's not really important. So, gosh. Okay, anyway, so I know, so we're losing, okay, so we're letting go of lots of things so that we can shift into this new space. So that's where all of our learnings are happening right now. And just to really be patient with it, and also to just like celebrate whatever it is, that needs to go, that needs to be transformed into this new space, into the future. I was thinking it today too, like we can't really judge what is falling away. We may be like, thinking how hard it is to lose this person that we loved, and even though it never really worked out, or there were so many things that were different, we still just wanted it to be intact, and we wanted to continue this. And finding that friendships are falling away, family connections falling away, all these things that were so what you thought was a part of your life falling away. And just kind of seeing that you can't judge them as bad. Um, and you really need to like go with the flow and trust it, with what needs to go. But I was thinking this morning when I woke up, because, when I lost my mama kitty, a couple weeks ago, and how I'd had this, since the late 90s, I had these, three cats that were like my unit, and how I've lost all three of them now in the past 2 years, but they were this continued solid throughout life. It was just this same, and it was the best thing in the world ever. Of course, they were my babies, but I just kind of saw, how different everything is here now, that last locked in pattern is not here anymore. And now it's Moon Bear and it's Coon Boy, and Coon Boy is the cat, Moon Bear is my dog. But there's a whole new relationship thing here that's happened in our family, and it's so cute. Even like Moon Bear would never get on the couch. Like she's never been on the bed because she has Wolf, and supposedly with wolves they like cold floor, cold hard floor. They don't even think about doing something like being on the couch. So I had to like I would beg her like, come on, but she'd stay like 2 seconds. And but now, like, she's in Mama's spot. So where Mama would always lay is where Moonberry is every day with me, and what's so cute too is like Coon Boy loves her to death. I mean, he's just like head over heels over this dog, and just always is wanting to roll all around and play, and Moonberry's like, I don't even know how to play with cats, so they're learning this new thing. But we didn't really have that a couple weeks ago, so it's shifted into this whole thing. So I guess what I mean with that is, keeping your mind open to what is falling away or what parts of you are leaving, and just kind of knowing that a new kind of order is going to coagulate and kind of become this new thing that now you move into the future with. So these patterns that are falling away, these habits that are falling away, these mental thought processes, these people, these, you know, um, these physical things, these health related things, all these things are trying to create this whole new concentrated ball of energy that is moving through you, moving through the future and creating a new pattern. So it doesn't always feel good when these things fall away, but we just really have to trust that there's a reason for it, and it's going to shift us in this new kind of space, and it will all make sense in the future. Uh, so, that's kind of the message right now for you guys, is really just to kind of trust it and be patient with it, and just to go with it, whatever it is. I mean, even with me, like how wild that I just took my nose ring out after 20 years and was just like done with it. I mean, that even to me saying it, it's crazy because it was it was a part of my face, and I just like that was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't need that anymore. Uh, and it's shocking to me, because it was such a big pattern. but it was time to elevate, time to upgrade, time to shift whatever, you know. And it's funny too, is even a couple weeks ago, I was like, I was like, I can't believe I haven't even put that back in, or, you know, and I did actually put it back in for 1 second. And I was just like, I looked in the mirror and I was like, nope, done with it. It's not me anymore. And, I don't know that that will last forever because then I could change next week. I'm all the mutable signs. I'm always changing. So, that could definitely change, but, yeah, it's like those are the kind of things we're just doing. It's just change. It's just shift. It's just happening like that, and you just go with it. And you'll know there's a reason for it. We just don't really know what's going on right now, but we need to see it all in the positive and trust that it's all happening exactly how it should, and just kind of, really just kind of surrender more into this process that is really about bettering us for this next year. So every piece of this that feels so uncomfortable, that is breaking your heart, that is making you feel so hurt, that is so confusing, that has you lashing out at loved ones, that has loved ones lashing out at you, all of it is so for the good. Every piece of it is so for the good. And there's nothing to worry about at all about this. Now, what's really cool, once you get through this big labor pressure pushed to the max, I am done with this kind of, uh, energetic feelings that are going on right now. Once you get out of that, oh my gosh, things get so wonderful and so beautiful and so magical, and so like everything is like, you'll just start to say things about how lucky you feel you are. Oh my gosh, I am so lucky. And what it is too is that, and I think I talked about this a little bit with, these thoughts creating this next page of your life, so what you're thinking now is creating the next page of your life. And I've heard some people, be a little critical of, positive thought and things like The Secret, and, oh yeah, I forgot that. And, things like that. So, and there's total truth in that. I was even like, I so was like, with The Secret, when I remember when I first watched it, I was like, that's the surface though. That's not the depth. That's not, that's the surface, just to be like, with the positive thoughts and with the right action kind of way of thinking, it has to be resonating, or it has to be originating from your heart and from your gut. So all those things that you're coming out and saying, they have to be what you're feeling inside. That's the key to it. It can't just be like, you're saying these things and that's that. Oh, my life's going to be great because I'm saying, I'm so lucky, I'm so lucky, I'm so lucky. That's like my biggest one to say. But I feel it. I feel it when I say it. One thing, I was out hiking because I live in the most beautiful place ever. I am so lucky with where I live. There's not people out here. It's so quiet. It's so pristine. You walk out your door and you're just then walking onto hiking trails for hours. It's nature galore. And, I do most of my like writing out there, like, 'cause in my head, I'm like, I'm always like talking out loud, walking down the trails and stuff. So I'm always very, it's just like, and so I love it. So it's so amazing. But I was, I got that, feeling. I was out walking the other day and I was like, everything changes so much in our life. You look back and like those relationships, they're gone now. You lived in that house, it's gone now. You lived in that state, it's gone now. So things shift so quickly in our lives. So we really need to stop and just like savor each one of them, you know. So I went on this walk and I was just like, be present, appreciate that you have this amazing thing, because maybe I'll live here forever. We never know. I know I could, because I'm grandfathered in here. I can stay here forever. But we don't know how long things are going to last, but we always end up looking back and seeing everything and in how awesome that was. And, even like when I lived in the Oakland Hills, I would go hiking in the hills every day, like in the morning, first thing I would, and then after dinner I would. And it was such a part of my life. And then, there, everybody has just beautiful flowers in your yard, in their yard. So you'd always stop and smell everything and watch how everything blossomed, and there was so much beauty in it. And then you'd look out and see the whole bay, and and I remember just loving them to death. But I know at a point I got bored with it. I was ready to move. I needed new scenery, da da da. But now I look back and I'm like, oh, I would love. And even one of my dear friends who lives there, her dog isn't alive anymore. And I'd see, them out walking a lot, and we'd walk together. And, her dog would always stop at my house and, want me to come out. Even after I moved away, Lou would still like stop at the house because she knew I lived there. So, we always look back and like remember these things and remember how beautiful it was. Yet when we're in it, we don't pay attention to that as much. We take it for advantage, and we don't realize that, gosh, in a matter of time, we're going to be missing this. So, the point I was getting at that point was to really just celebrate every piece of it and be so grateful for every piece of it, and to give it attention and be like constantly like feeling and saying how appreciative you are of this, and how much you're valuing this, and how much you love this. And and that's the secret with our affirmations manifesting, is that it has to originate with a true feeling. And granted, when things are rough, the best thing to do is, even though you're not feeling it inside, it is best to start saying the better things, to start feeling like you are protected and safe and it's going to work out. And that definitely is a part of bringing in the better. But it ultimately has to be this thing that's really in your body that you're feeling. Otherwise, it is just words. And but basically, if you think about it, the words are to console you. The words are, I'm going to get through this. I'm getting through this. I'm getting through this. So that's not actually the words that are manifesting the new energy, but they are calming your energy so that you can get to that safe space of being like, okay, I know that something good is on the way for me. That one is powerful. Like you heard that. That one is exciting. I know that something good is on the way for me. I know that something magical is going to be happening. Like say that one enough and you will shift that painful place inside, because that one is just like it's exciting. It's like, oh, I just know it. I can just feel it. So that's the kind of point in making that stuff work. But what I was going to say is I came up with the best new line. Oh, that's what I was saying. I get really old. Things get old to me. Like certain words, I can't even say them anymore. Like I'm not even going to go into the list of them, but I can't say them. They get way too played out. And the thing is they're played out in this superficial way that isn't really them to the core. It's just that I am a da 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 da. And I don't want to say them because I know other people use them with their Facebook page and sites and stuff. So I don't want to say them, but I get really bored with words when they get too played out. And then it has to be a new thing for me because everything with me is always shifting into a new. That's old, tired. I'm quick to reboot and start over and begin again. But anyway, so walking your talk, I was thinking about how walking your talk is soon going to be something that is totally played out because it's so big right now. So everything is, you need to walk your talk, you need to walk your talk, but are you walking your talk? I'm walking my talk. So I came up with the new best one that's going to replace walking your talk, and it is taking it to the streets. Right? Isn't that cool? So, are you taking it to the streets? Is this something that you're just feeling inside and are thinking, reading it in a book and being like, oh, that's me. I'm da da da. I'm healed. My heart is healed. My thoughts are healed. I'm healed or whatever. But are you taking it to the streets? Are you really taking it to the streets and like, really giving the love to the people, really smiling at strangers, really being present when you're out in the world? So I thought that was kind of cool. So that's going to be the new one. But are you taking it? I'm taking it to the streets. So you take that wisdom to the streets, and then I'll be impressed. So let's look at the chart. Okay. Oh, this was kind of cool too. I was thinking I have Mars conjunct my Pluto right now, and and it's felt so good. But one thing I'm going to be talking about, because these transit courses I'm starting, I'm so excited. It's going to be a whole season. So it's going to be a 3-month journey where we're together, and it's going to be lots about research. But even with that one, I was writing about what I'll talk about. We're going to go through all the planets. We're going to watch how everything is activated, and there's going to be all these self-study things that we're also then going to share with the group, so that we have this reference points of how was it when Mars conjuncted your Pluto. But with that one, it's something that so is going to bring attention and energy to whatever is going on the depth. So it can be something that can be really bad and really horrible if the base of this is something that you're still struggling with and hasn't been healed, and is something that is just buried and hasn't been dealt with. So you don't see down here, but my hands are moving nonstop. They're always moving. So I'm hitting everything. But so all these things are activating things and showing you, like, is there still work here? Do you need to pay attention here? What, da da da. So I thought that was cute, because normally that would be something that could be more like, oh my gosh, like having to face too many dark issue things and feeling so overwhelmed with them. And I'm just like, I feel great. Oh my gosh, like I was like, wow, that's kind of a cool one, to be feeling like even more grounded and to the depth, to the core, feeling awesome, just feeling like, yeah. So that's kind of that, taking it to the streets, doing your work, um, facing all these things that are coming to you and not burying them, because if you bury them, you're going to, like this aspect, especially that I'm happening. If I was burying this stuff, it would be right up in my face right now. And really kind of embracing that opportunity to be provoked. That's something I'm always going to be showing you, to be stoked when somebody provokes you, because it's getting you to that finish line quicker. I was even thinking in a way of making it, letting to be kind of competitive with the healing journey, so that when you're provoked, and maybe your whole system is rocked and you're just like, I can't concentrate, I can't get anything done, I'm so like, what is this? I mean, instantly go into it with the intentions to heal it and to bring into the peace for all parties involved. Instantly, you're going to get to the finish line quicker if you do that. So that's what I mean in a way by being competitive, like compete with others on the healing journey, in that when something has just pushed you and happened to you, you're like, oh, cool. I'm going a couple steps up now, because I'm going to deal with this and really look at it and be honest about it and take full responsibility of my piece in it. Because it isn't the blame thing. Gosh, the blame thing gets so old. The blame thing is what we just naturally do. Well, but you, da 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 da. And instead of doing that, just be like, okay, what does this mean to me? What was my part in this? How did I handle that? How did I, respond to that? Our responses to everything is the test. How did we respond? Were you like, I want to kill you, or were you like, okay, what can I see in this? So, with this new moon, everything, and really for the rest of the year going out, there's so much. Oh, and then Venus goes retrograde. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Venus goes retrograde on the day I start my classes. That is so cool. I love that. That's perfect. But so, everything is really trying to bring us to this more hopeful, optimistic space of manifestation for our next year into 2014. So once you can get through that really painful thing and handle it in a high vibrating way, and understand that you don't need to, it's not that important. You don't need to get so worked up and so angry. It's really not that important. I have a new manifesting affirmations book that I just updated. I'm going to probably update them every year. because so that they're relevant with what we're going through. But that was something I wrote. I'm letting this go because it's not important. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Um, oh, I don't know if I was going to say that, but it kind of related to that person opening my mind to keeping my thoughts more not on frustrated, not on my self-talk, on more positive things, Um, but that after I wrote this whole new affirmations book, because it's like 36 pages and they're all just more relevant to our times. But after I wrote it, it was so funny because I went out into the world and like things would come up, like there was something that triggered me. And my first thought was I remembered what I wrote in there. And I was like, I'm going to let this go because it's not important, And all those affirmations that I had written, they kept coming to me every time I would have some kind of negative thought of not thinking I was good enough, or not thinking what I'm doing is important, or everybody else can do it better. I would hear these things of all those affirmations that I wrote. So it was kind of funny how that worked. I was like, wow, there's power in this. So we do need to read them. We do need to be around them. We do need to have them sticking to our memory bank. And if we do, they can fall right into place, when we do have a more negative or self-defeating thought that comes to us. Instantly, that rectifying energy wants to come in and go, I am letting this go because it is not important. So that's where we're kind of at right now with trying to bring us to this more positive, optimistic space, of, you know, uh, having more hope in our future. So we're clearing out a lot of that density right now so that we can be more hopeful, so that we can have more faith in things, so that we can be like, I think awesome things are coming. I just do. I feel like something is awesome is coming. And I had to say, I have to jump back in. Remember how I was like, I don't know why I couldn't do the new moon reports on time. What's funny is this new moon happened, on the 2nd, but it happened at 11 degrees Sagittarius, and my 12th house is 11 degrees Sagittarius. And one thing I write about in our course, because we're going to be charting how the moon moves through each house, because in the course of a month, the moon's going to move through every house. So we're going to be on a 3-month journey. So we're going to get to do research of 3 turns of how this affected us. But one of the things with when the moon moves into the 12th house, so now you'll know this if you take this course with me, um, that that's a time we just pull back. And part of it is we don't feel understood, so that's one of the reasons we do pull back. But it's a time that we just don't really want to be out in the world, don't really want to be participating, really want to be in more meditative alone spaces. I remember back in 2002, I was talking to this mother about that, and I was telling her, once it reaches our 12th house, we tend to, it's only like 2 to 3 days maybe, but that's when we just don't want to be out in the world. We don't want to be doing things. We don't want to be participating in stuff. We just kind of want to more pull back and be left alone and not have to do anything. So, with this class I'm doing, you're going to have a journal book too. So you're going to be charting through all these things. You're going to see what's happening on what day, and what to expect. You're going to be able to look ahead. And even like with that one, you're going to know those times when you're just not really into it and wanting to be present and stuff. Even like the 10th house, that's my favorite. That's when I get so much work done. That's when I'm like ideas galore and everything's working out. So, even like mama died in my 8th house, and that's like sad, deep feelings and da da da. And then the next house, you have more open, expansive ways of seeing things and feeling more hopeful. And then you go into more things with career and manifesting things and having everything work out with new ideas and so that's going to be a lot of fun. But that's where I'm saying when I look at this, that's why I didn't want to do the new moon reports on time, because it happened and it just went right into the 12th house where I'm like, I just want to sit at home and be alone and meditate and watch the snow and not really be out there in anybody else's stuff. So that's probably why I couldn't tune into the collective energy. I was separated from it. And now I'm in the 1st house. So I'm like, hey, let's talk. So that's pretty cool. I'm really stoked about those classes, though. I'm really excited about that. And I'm actually not even going to start promoting them until the 9th. On the 9th, I'm going to finally come out and start putting it out there. I want it to be kind of spontaneous and last minute. So I almost feel like, oh, you know what? I've been meaning to get into this one. This has been like, where are we at? 53. Okay. Um, this has been going on, and I'm going to talk further about it. I almost think it's going to have to be like a series, but one of the things that is so huge with almost everybody out there is that there's these huge, you know, where we're at now, parenting is a lot different. Where we're at now, parents know so much more, and they didn't know a lot of this stuff back then. We also have a new generation of people like me who talk about everything. I want to talk about it. I need to talk it through. I can't bury stuff, and I am not alone. The new generations of people, we talk about stuff, we want to deal with it, we want to bring the peace to it right now. Older generations were raised to hide stuff. And I believe that's why we have such an epidemic of sexual abuse and violation, because it was something you didn't talk about. You know, even if your father was having sex with you, you didn't talk about it. You weren't allowed to talk about this stuff. So we have all these millions of people who have come from these things where they couldn't talk about it, and it was something that you just buried. You don't talk about, you bury it, and you move on, and you get over it, and you live your life. But we know now it doesn't work that way. So now we have these millions of people who are struggling in life because they can't make amends with their mother or their father, and they have these issues that are going on, but like the mother does not want to hear about it. The mother's like, no, we don't talk about that. And so it leaves these people, these children, in these states of like, I don't have resolution. I can't heal this. I can't talk about it because they won't admit it. They want me to deny it. I can't deny it. So there's a huge thing right now where a lot of people are having these things of they're like, they're very much aware of these things that are keeping them from healing, because they are saying they need this confirmation from their father, or they need this confirmation from their mother. They need to be heard, but it's not happening because these other generations can't do it. They physically can't do it. They've buried so much themselves that they don't understand why you can't bury this stuff too. And it's just a matter of us coming from different generations, different consciousness of this planet, you know. So um I want to talk. I was even like, you know, in a couple months, I'm going to be offering this class where we're just going to work on stuff like this. And it's going to be where I'm just covering Pluto, Chiron, and Saturn in your charts, and with your wounds and with the healing process. And because what I discovered is and I discovered it by fluke, by another friend going through the exact same thing that so many people are going on with right now, where they feel like something is wrong with them and they can't fully heal their life because this other parent will not hear them, will not listen to them, does not want to talk about this. So the these younger generations are feeling blocked on their healing process, and they're actually creating more blocks because they're saying something is wrong with me because I can't make amends with my mom. Something is wrong with me because I can't forgive my father, you know, whatever it is for you. And I ended up seeing another friend go through this exact same thing, but she had a mother, lucky her, who was honest and open to all the things that she had done that were not good to her daughter, and that really kind of messed her daughter up in a way. And she was so aware of it. And so like, baby, I'm so sorry. What can I do? Da da da. So she had this whole open dialogue of, you know, really kind of nurturing and caring and hearing her daughter and supporting her daughter, and being like so open that my friend healed from it like that. And that's when it brought me to this like, whoa, this is not something that has to really stay stagnant and locked in us. It's something that we are actually keeping ourselves from healing because we say, I need this person's confirmation though. I need to be heard by my mother. I need my mother to acknowledge what she had done to me, right? So all these people are actually saying, I can't heal because this, I can't heal because this. But in fact, you can heal like it with a snap, like what my friend did. Um, but it's in a different way. We have to do it in a different way because we're not going to get that confirmation from these parents because, like I said, they're coming from this other world where you didn't. So unless they really are going to have a healing disease crisis, is usually when it happens for a lot of people. They get cancer and then they want to talk about it. They want to heal. They'll so unless something really devastating, life threatening happens, a lot of those people can't shift out of that space. And if they can, oh my gosh, they're doing the greatest service to their children or to ever. It's like we have to be honest and make amends because I know most people will forgive on a dime if they can just feel heard. They're just wanting to feel heard. So I'm actually kind of creating this thing right now that is based around that and how we can come together and kind of hear each other out and heal it that way. Maybe even like I can get a whole bunch of these kind of progressive older mothers who can hear you. So maybe it can just be through role playing or something. I'm just really, now that I've seen how easy it shifted someone, like to the point where she was having these panic attacks and freaking out over this stuff from her childhood, but that she was able to go right to her mom and her mom just healed it through listening and caring and being honest. And I fucked up. I'm sorry, babe. And so seeing how different it could be has really opened me to wanting to create something where all these people who are sitting there in these wounded states of not feeling valued, heard, respected, honored for what did happen, but still being told, you saw it wrong, that didn't happen, you're wrong, that he wouldn't do that, or whatever it was for you. But we have to like release that pressure of these wounds that aren't getting light, and we need to find this other source of light to bring about this healing that I got to see when it does happen in a way that an ideal way, when the other adult is coming to you and saying yes, when an adult is taking responsibility and saying, yes, this was my part in it, I'm sorry, if I could go back. Because right, aren't we like we can just heal so quickly, we can forgive so quickly. I will forgive anybody. I have it built in. I have a really easy forgiving thing. You can do like the most horrible, mean, disgraceful things, but if you just come at me and like, I'm so sorry, I'll be like, oh, that's okay. I move through things so quickly, so I'm like, I can't even remember why I was mad at you. Wait a minute. I had something like that too, where I had to work through this dispute kind of thing, but like a little bit of time had passed, so I was like, wait, now why was I provoked? I can't even remember now. It's gone out of me already. So I guess that's a good thing. But so if you are going through those kind of parental things, just try to get a new perspective of it, in like maybe you don't need their confirmation. Maybe you don't need to be heard by them. Maybe there's somebody else that can hear you. Maybe even just writing it and sharing it anonymously somewhere, and just having other people support you, because it's something that's keeping us too much locked into this victim mentality. And it's not fair to do to ourselves. And so there has to be a way. And, I guess I'm on that discovery right now of how to help you guys through that. That's why I said I feel like this is going to be a series, because now I'm really interested in how we can shift people and heal things when it's so often based on not being heard and not being honored and having to hide something that did happen and having to deny it. Yet we can't now. Everything comes to the surface with us. In the younger generations, it just comes to the surface. We want to keep it real. We want to heal fights right away. We want to bring in the peace. I mean, that's how we shift into this new world space, is bringing the peace in things, and also in taking responsibility for our part in what transpired. Um, I think I'm going to stop there because I have to go put logs on the fire because it's like 15 degrees outside and we've got like, looks like about 6 or 7 inches of snow right now. I'm so happy. I love it. It's great. I love like working with this kind of weather, um, and the fire going and feeling toasty. And yeah. So, okay. You all have a beautiful new moon, and I will be back for another private video in a couple days on the Love Collective, and then I will be back here publicly on the full moon on the 17th. There's also going to be lots of events coming that I really need to coordinate. There is going to be either an activation or a clearing on the 17th. I can't remember. I think it's activation. I think we're going to have a clearing on the 30th. And then on the 1st, on New Year's Day, I'm putting together something with this other amazing woman. It's going to be, and her name's Eva. I haven't, we're still talking through the details. We have to get it all worked out, but it's going to be something where I'm first going to be talking about how the new year will affect each sign. So I'll go through each sign, so you'll get to hear all of them. So like your sun, moon, and rising, you'll get to hear all of them and hear what other people are going to be focusing on. I'm really going to look at the chart and figure out what are your going to be best areas to manifest some new things into your life. What areas I'm going to go through the chart and, kind of find some things particular to each sign. So that'll take a while. We'll go through talking those. And then it's going to be a really big kind of activation ceremony. This woman does the living light language and she does star seed activations. So I thought that was really important, since so many of you are the star seeds that are following me. And so then she's going to do, an activation for us to really like ground in this new energy. I mean, it's going to be the best thing ever, not only because it's on New Year's Day, it's 2014 and there's a new moon. It's powerful. And I think I'm going to do it in the middle of the day. It'll be something recorded too, so you can also get the recording of it if you can't make it. But I'm trying to get a lot of people like in the United Kingdom. I think it'll be about 10 p.m. United Kingdom, so they can actually kind of be on it. And so, yeah, that's one. But I'm going to get an events page up, excuse me, soon. I'm just I don't have all the details for that, so I thought I'd tell you a little bit about it now. But there's lots of really exciting things coming in the next couple weeks. So just be excited for this too, and don't worry about anything. I talked about that on the private video last time. There's a lot of money fear right now collectively. You can shift through it though. There's little whole spaces, spaces of air that you can get into where you won't be triggered by it. But I do say it's going to be a very different Christmas. People are spending money differently. Even if you have your own business, you might not be making as much, but don't worry about it. Even if you're down to your last 26 cents, this person wrote on the Love Collective, I'm like, it's still good. I promise you, it's still good. This is a part of that thing in the trust process. Us trusting that, yes. Oh yeah, I came up with the greatest thing too on the private video last time. I can't remember what it was, but I was even like, oh, that was good. Did you hear that? But something about, you have it right now. You've manifested this money right now. You have the money right now to pay for rent, to pay for da 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 da. So what is it going to take for you to hold the space that is also going to be coming in the future? Because this money fear that everybody is having right now is future. They're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to have it in January. I don't know if I'm going to have it in February. I don't know if so we're basing right now on this future thing when you don't know all the things that are going to come in to like boost that money. You don't know the opportunities that are going to come. So it's shortchanging yourself now, being in the fear of having money in the future. So there's something with that, with just really needing to trust. I have it right now, so I am safe. I just had to spend like all my money on all these things. I had to get a new computer, I had to get new winter tires, had to get new da da da, and then this and that and then that. But everyone, I was like, but thank goodness I have the money right now, I mean, yeah, I would have much rather saved it and had it as this, padding security savings, but Now I don't, but at least I had it. At least I had the money. I had just enough money in my account to pay for all this. Like the guy who gave me tires actually gave me $150 off, so I have $150 more. But I'm like, whatever, I don't care. At least I have it now. So we really have to hold that. We really have to ride this money wave and know too, like with the North Node in Scorpio, with the South Node in Saturn, this is exactly where we should be at this very important point of reaching into 2014. So this is really how it should be. We're losing these old ways of valuing money, or not being happy because we don't have money, or all these things we cut ourselves short with over money. The fights we have over money, the competition we have over money, the fears we have with money. It's like, let's just be done with that. Let's create something new. Let's create something like where, you think of money like a faucet, and you go to the faucet and you just know it's going to come out with water. Most of us, if we're lucky, and so far in history we can say that. But just think of that with money. I don't need to have it seeing that I have all this money in my hand right now, but knowing it's like with water. You just go to it when you need it and you get it and it comes out and you don't think about it. And we need to have that kind of thing with money. I'm like, well, I have enough money for what I need right now, and then don't think about it. Just think, well, when I do need it, it'll show up. When I do need it, it will come out. So we have to be more trusting like that with money, because we've wasted way too much of our happiness in life over freaking out over money, for reals. And like, I come from that so much poverty consciousness. Like, I had to grow up seeing where we didn't have money for food a lot, and there was always this, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Wouldn't have power. I remember things like a cooler in the winter being the refrigerator, like, so I did grow up being like, money, 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 money. And I just did, like a year or so ago, I just shifted it and just was like done with it. It's not too hard to shift it and just be done with it. Ooh, I want this to stop at 111. Okay, so everybody, you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in a couple days in the Love Collective with my next message. And otherwise, I will see you on the full moon, and I'll talk more about all these events and how you can get in them, classes and whatever, and all this, and yes, and okay. All right. So you have a beautiful day. I'll see you soon. Bye.